What's going on, guys? It's Keefe. In today's video we are going over how to let go. I'm really pumped to talk about this topic today because this is something that has been huge for changing my life, not only in the way I see the world and just my overall feeling state, but just helping me bring what I want into my life. Now, before we get into that, I made this channel to help men build better lives. So if you're a guy who's out there who's looking to improve himself, become a high value male, hit the subscribe button and bell icon. I put out new videos every single day to help you create your ideal life. So let's get into the video. So guys, when it comes to letting go, there are two main topics that I want to address in this being emotional attachment and outcome attachment. And both of these are things we want to learn to let go of. And we're going to start with emotional attachment. This is when you are attached to a certain emotion, a certain feeling state, and it causes your world to be colored by it. For example, maybe you get angry because somebody said something to you that you didn't like, and then you're driving home and you're mad because somebody's driving slow in front of you, and you just start to find things in your life to be mad about. Or maybe you feel unworthy, you feel unconfident, and so because you feel unconfident in a certain area, it starts to color your entire life. So perhaps this has to do with your dreams. Maybe you feel really unconfident that you can reach a certain goal that you're trying to attain. And what happens is this feeling state affects the thoughts you have, and it also affects the actions that you take, right? So if you feel unconfident, your thoughts are going to be, gee, like you're going to be finding all the ways why this won't work out, why you can't get to the goal you want. Well, only 1 in 10 people achieve this goal. Or man, you start thinking about times in your past where it didn't work out for you, right? Or things like that. And then your actions follow that up by not taking the correct action. Or when you try, you hedge your bets. You don't go all in on trying to create this life you want because your feeling state is, I'm not going to get it anyway, so I'm going to have this ego protection about me, and I'm not going to really put myself out there and really go for it. So as you can see, whatever feeling state you're in is going to dictate your thoughts and your actions. And so it's important to learn to let this go. Another important part of this, guys, is to notice that the feeling state is affecting every area of your life, right? So this shows that all the thoughts are kind of pointless, right? They're not real. The thoughts are not yours. They're coming about based on the way you feel, because you can see the world in two different situations, right? Like you might be in a tight spot financially and feel really concerned and scared and all these types of things, or you could be in a certain situation and you could feel completely confident. You'd be like, things will work out. I have this trust. You could go up to a girl and you could choose to be confident that she's going to like you, or you could choose to think about all the reasons it could go bad. You could be angry about a certain situation, or you could learn to forgive and accept that this is human nature. So really what the point is here is your feeling state is going to dictate the thoughts you see, but those thoughts are just illusions, right? Because you can see anything from any perspective depending on how you feel. So the key is we want a positive feeling state so that we can see the world in that positive state that causes us to take the correct actions to move in the direction we want. So how do we go about letting go of these negative feeling states? Well, we do this by observing them unattached. Again, we were trying to break from this attachment to that feeling. So what does it look like when we're attached to a feeling? What it looks like is we feel the feeling, we start thinking the thoughts, and we indulge in these thoughts, right? So we know how this goes. Like you really like we act like we don't want to be angry, but deep down that something makes you mad, and then you just start running with it, right? And you enjoy the idea of like, I'm a victim, this person made me mad, or I'm scared of this thing, and we start taking actions and thinking thoughts based on that feeling state. So you have to take a step back, you have to be aware enough, conscious enough of how you're feeling to be like, okay, like I'm feeling fear right now, and then you detach from the thoughts. You notice that the thoughts are there, you notice the feelings there, but you don't act on them. You don't indulge the thoughts, you don't keep running with the thoughts, right? You'll notice how when you get on a tear thinking about something, it's very circular, right? Like the mind just likes to think about things. It never really gets anywhere with it though. Usually when you have a breakthrough, in fact, it's when you've stopped thinking about it, you've relaxed, and suddenly something hits you, right? So the key here is to detach from the feeling state. So when you notice, say you're feeling fear, is to not indulge in the fearful thoughts, just to witness it. And you're not trying to push it away either, because if you push it away, you resist something, it tends to persist. So what we want to do is, from a detached state, just witness the feeling. And you can learn to do this. It will be easier with time, but whatever state you find yourself in that's a lower state, just witness it. And what will happen is that energy will dissipate, because a feeling is an energy. Emotion is energy in motion. So what you got to do is just stop giving that more power. Just witness it from a detached state. Be like, all right, I'm feeling fear, and then just let it be there. It'll go away. Same with anger. There's a famous thing that they say to do when you get angry about something. It's been said that you should count to 10. Count to 10 slowly in your head, and by the time you're done, usually what you're mad about will be gone. This is that same idea, okay? Because the feeling is just there. It's not like it's real. It's just what you're experiencing. It's kind of like clouds in the sky. The sun is still there. It's just covered up by clouds. So all you got to do is just be patient and let the feeling go away. It'll go away much quicker. This is going to, what happens when you do this, when you let go of these lower level feelings, these negative feelings, is naturally your feeling state rises up into a more positive state, one where you can take better actions, right? So for example, if you go from fear and you let go of your fear, you're going to move into a more empowered state. Perhaps you're courageous now. You feel courage to take a certain action. And once you've taken that action, you feel courageous, you start to feel optimistic about your future because you just overcame your fear. You stepped out of your comfort zone, and now you have more self-confidence. Now you're in an even higher state where you feel like, I'm an empowered person. I can take action. I can make my future come about. And this just continues to rise as you let go of those lower feeling states. Now, when it comes to the second part of letting go of outcome, this mainly has to do with trust and intent, okay? It also has to do with the idea that from an emotional and feeling state, attachment to an outcome has to do with desire. You're in a perspective where I'm not happy now, I'll be happy later. So this is something, again, we want to let go of. So when you recognize I'm feeling desire, because the desire is going to make you dissatisfied with where you're at currently. Desire is not helpful for creating things you want in your life. This is a misnomer in our society, a misconception that is. It's actually intent, which I mentioned just a minute ago. Intent is what actually gets you where you want to go, not desire. Desire is actually, it puts your goals out of range for you, because what happens is in your mind you're seeing it as I don't have this thing. So from intent, what you're doing is you're seeing it from the perspective of I'm happy now, I feel great now, I'll feel great also having this, rather than with desire, it's I'm unhappy now, this thing will make me happy. Also, notice in your life, this will really help you to break this idea that desire is important, is notice in your life how once you got something you really wanted, you kind of were just on to the next thing. It doesn't really make you happy anymore. So this understanding is that happiness, gratitude, all these things, they come from within, not from without. So you have to break from the desire, and that is again by letting go. Witness the desire, let the desire go, you'll transcend it. But another good part of this is to learn to be grateful. If you train yourself to be grateful for what you have now, this is going to build the trust that things work out for you. And from that trusting perspective, you can now more positively move towards your goals, and you can move toward it with that trust, right? Because if you trust that things are going to work out because you're grateful, because you can notice where things have already worked out for you, now you're just moving along, and you from an intended perspective where I'm just going to take the actions that move me in this direction and have trust and gratitude that the process is working out. Now you're in a detached state, and you're let go because you're already happy within, and you're already grateful for what you have, and you're just enjoying moving along the path. Things will come much easier for you this way, rather than thinking I'll be happy when I have this thing, I'm going to be unhappy now. That's a terrible way to go about it. You just don't have much energy. You know this when you're in a space where you're not happy. You don't have much energy to move forward. When you feel energized, when you feel passionate, you have that energy to keep moving forward in life. So it's really key to learn to detach from outcome. And you do this again, I think the best way to do this is to learn to be grateful for where you're at now, because this will break the desire trap where you're feeling unhappy now. Now, one last thing I want to do about this, guys, is understanding that life's a game, okay? We tend to take things too seriously. This has to do with desire. It has to do with attachment to outcome. We think this thing is really, really important. We forget that life's a big game. So once you realize this is not too serious, right? Like you make $100,000 in a month. Is that really that serious? It's just a thing, right? It's just like a number, and it really means nothing unless everybody else tells you it means something. Same with like, I have a BMW. Does that really mean anything? No, it's just something you have, right? All of this is just stuff you have. And there's been the famous saying, you should wear the world like a loose garment. And I think it was Jesus who said that you should be in the world but not of the world. And the idea would be that you are in the world, you have to act in the world, you play by the game of the world, but you don't let it define you. You know you have more intrinsic value than the game you're playing. The same way, if you play a video game and you have a character, you don't define your self-worth by the character in the game. You see the game as a way to play as a character, right? Like let's say you're playing NBA 2K. They used to have the My Player, I'm guessing they still do. You don't think just because your My Player is like a 65 rating that you in real life are a 65 rating. You're just like, all right, that's my character right here. So it's the same thing with all parts of life. A good example of this is when I used to play basketball, we would have a playoff game, and a playoff game is like a bigger deal. And so I would go into it with this mindset of like, I'm all locked in, I'm going to take this really serious, I'm just going to have a huge game, LeBron James, locked in kind of mode, like this mindset. And then I'd go in and I'd stink up the joint. Every time that I played from a perspective of this is just a game, I'm going to go have fun, I'd just be on fire and I couldn't miss. You can see this like if you watch Steph Curry play. He's always getting on these crazy hot streaks where he's just like showboating around, like throwing up 40-footers, not even looking at the goal and stuff like that. And he's like in this perspective where he's just free and loose. He's not out here like really serious, like perfect form, shoot the ball. He's just like goofing off, having fun, knocking everything down. You see this in like somebody who's in like that flow state. They're in this place where it's like they're not attached to it. They're just being the person they are. They're just doing the thing they're doing, and they're not attached to it. They're just enjoying the process of doing it, right? And so this is again part of letting go. Guys, if you got something out of this video, I want you to give me a like so we can reach more guys to the algorithm. Hit the bell icon and subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.